Well, hi, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf. I do hope I find you well, and today Locomotion number 1 from Hornby. As you can see, both variants here. A little bit of a surprise this morning when I opened up the parcel to find not one but 2 Locomotions in there, good and bad, and we'll go through that in a little bit. But let me bring in the catalogue and let's explain the 2 versions. So back in January, the catalogue was brought out with Locomotion on the cover, and inside there's a couple of pages here just telling a little bit about Locomotion, the fact that it's the 200th anniversary of the Stockton Darlington Railway next year, so quite an appropriate model to do, quite a challenging model as well, and this I guess you'd call the flagship model for 2024. And if I just turn over the page, there's a lot more detail on here on how the model was scanned. I'm sure most of you have got the catalogue, so I'm not going to read all this out, but there's a lot of detail in here. But down at the bottom you can see new for Q3 R30346, which is Locomotion number 1 in era 2. Well, I'll just pause the video there for a moment because obviously I've made a bit of a mistake. Now, I've just said era 2 and I continue to say era 2 throughout the whole of this video. It's only when I came to finish the editing and I was just watching it back before putting it live that I realised what I've done. And obviously it should be era 11, which is present day. So a bit of a mental block there from my side. Don't know why I did it, but I do apologise, and I hope it doesn't distract too much. So essentially, as you would find the loco in its current day form, and then we scroll on through the year and we're treated to first off tool samples, we're treated to first running samples, all of these put out on Hornby's YouTube and social media channels, then the first decorated samples, then the first running models. Absolutely amazing, and it's been a great year following the progress and the development of this model. We get towards the latter part of the year, and during one of the train fairs, and I forget which one it was now, it was one of the larger fairs, I think it might have been the one at Gaydon. So Hornby announced this collector's edition. So this was available to members of the Collectors Club. So if you want to be a Hornby member of the Collectors Club, it costs you £30 a year. They do a rather good magazine, but you do get special edition models offered to you. They announced this one, which is an era 1 version of Locomotion number 1, depicting the loco as it was in 1857. And I saw this and I thought to myself, well, this looks fantastic, but I've already got this one on pre-order. I then noted the fact on the side here, this is R30345, and just to remind you, this one was R30346. So I thought to myself, well, this one's probably going to come out earlier. Now, I decided that I did want both versions, but I thought, well, if I order this one from the Collectors Club, this will arrive earlier, give me an opportunity to review the model, and then later I'll get the second one delivered when it comes out. I honestly didn't think that both versions would be released on the same day, on the same month, and this is why I say I've been Hornby'd, because whilst it's great, and actually I can now review both of the models side by side and tell you what the difference is in between the two. That's the positive. The negative is obviously somehow I've got to afford these this month. They haven't come out in Q3, they've come out in Q4 just before Christmas, and as you're aware, these aren't the cheapest of models, and to have 2 of them hitting my bank balance in 1 month has been a little bit of a shock, to say the least. But yeah, my own fault for ordering 2 of them, but you live and learn. So in Hornby's defence, I mean, obviously, they're probably thinking that, people might have ordered both of them, and if they get the era 1 a couple of months earlier, they may then cancel the era 2. So by putting them out on the same day, it kind of crosses that bridge. For me, a little bit, as I say, a little bit of a problem in terms of finances. I would have preferred, I think, to have them a staggered launch. The whole point in having this one, the limited edition one, is for its exclusivity. I mean, it's not particularly exclusive model. There was 1,700 of them, so, and they're still for sale now, so they haven't sold out. But to be a member of the Collectors Club and have the loco first of all, just would have been a nice thing to do instead of doing the overall release of both models. But as I say, it gives me this perfect opportunity to put them side by side and tell you what's in both of the boxes. Right, let's start with the limited edition box. So this is Stockton Darlington Railway, Locomotion number 1. You can see 1857, era 1. It's got this lovely blue livery on here with the gold sort of crest in the corner. On the sides of the boxes, we've got a picture of the loco, and again repeating the title. You can see here R30345. On the end, exactly the same, just the title and the number, and then the sides are repeated again around here. And then on the back of the box, we've just got the usual sort of small print, you know, be careful, not for 14 years and under, etc, etc. A little bit here about the National Railway Museum. So the actual loco is currently in Shildon, up in the northeast. If you want to go and see the loco, it's located at the National Railway Museum. And then there's just the Hornby logo down here. And then at the bottom, it does say a next 18-pin connection is supplied if you want to make this DCC. So it is DCC ready, and it says R30345, just repeating the number on the back there. Right, let's move across to the latter model, which is Era 2, and the box essentially is exactly the same, just in green. So you can see here, still got a picture of the loco sort of hidden in the background in this green livery. Now, I don't think that, personally, I don't think the green's as striking as the blue. I think the blue is far more elegant, but that's, I guess, personal taste. On the sides of the box, exactly the same, except it says obviously Era 2 rather than Era 1. And then currently the pictures of the locos on the side, and then repeated at the other end. Now, what I will point out is the very subtle differences in the pictures. So on here I can see Locomotion written on the side of the loco in sort of a green nameplate, and on this one just a single number 1 on the side of the boiler. But I'm sure we'll see that on the models in a moment. But as I say, the boxes are absolutely identical. Again, on the back here, I'm just going to read out the numbers. So this one is 30345, this one 30346. Right, let's have a look inside. So I'm quite excited about this. Now, I haven't opened these models, so this is the first time I've looked inside. So, right, let's just slide the lid off these boxes. Now, what I will say, I love this packaging. I'm so pleased that Hornby is now engaging in this decent quality boxes and packaging. Really robust, nice to see, fantastic. And we'll do the same on this side. And we're greeted on both sets with a little information card. So it says here, let's read this one out first, which is 1857. Locomotion number 1 made its historic debut on the 27th of September 1825 for the opening of Stockton-Darlington Railway. This was the first public railway to feature a steam locomotion from opening. The locomotive was driven by George Stephenson and hauled many wagons filled with coal, flour and passengers. A passenger carriage called Experiment was also present and carried the railway's directors. 300 passenger tickets were sold officially. However, the total amount of passengers crammed into the wagons were most likely closer to 600, and the total load that day was about 80 tonnes. And then it goes on to give a little bit of the history of the loco. As everybody's probably aware, it ended up as a pumping engine, then was rescued and eventually put on a stone in 1857 outside the Darlington North Railway Station on display. And then on the catalogue version, we have a completely different information card. It says, the Locomotion number 1 that can be seen preserved today has undergone many years of maintenance and several modifications with different parts. During 1856-57, communications with the company only referred to the locomotive as number 1 and not the name Locomotion. The earliest known image of the locomotive and tender only shows number 1 on the left-hand side of the boiler cladding with no Locomotion nameplate on it. On an unknown date, after the locomotive was displayed on a plinth, a replica nameplate was fitted to the centre of the boiler's left side. Before the locomotive was restored for display at Darlington North Road in 1857, a wooden framed and bodied tender with cast iron wheels was coupled to number 1. So I'm guessing actually this one here probably shouldn't have the tender on it, but I do believe both models do come with a tender. Right, let's move those information cards. I'm not going to read them completely out, but obviously I'm guessing you can pause the video and zoom in if you are particularly interested. Right, on to the main event and the bit I've been looking forward to, because I haven't actually seen these models yet. So, really liking the foam packaging, really nice and robust, good to see. Let's take that one off and that one, and we're presented with the two models. They look amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful models. Now, I'm seeing here the Locomotion name. I'm seeing here on the side of the boiler, number 1 just printed in there. And I'm seeing just a slightly different colour between the two locos. This one's a slightly darker colour, this one's a lighter colour. But on first glance, I'm not seeing a great deal of difference, but we'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a moment. Right, let's lift this one out first. Now the packaging, Hornby have gone to obviously very big lengths on the packaging here. This is a very strong plastic package that you can see. We've got an accessories pack. Let's do this bit first. So in here we've got some little components. Obviously there's a chain link in there, and we've got a driver and a fireman sitting on the side. That looks really good. I'm hoping that's come out on the camera. I'm not going to lift them out of the bag at this stage. And then in terms of, as I say, the packaging, we've got all of this sort of reinforcement around the side, protecting the loco. And yeah, indeed, that's looking really good. Although, oh dear, Hornby, oh dear. So, I'm just going to have a quick look at this one. Right, I don't know if you can see it, but at the front of the tender here, I've just noticed it as I was rotating it around. You can see here on a step, and my model has been delivered without a step on this side, or a broken step. Yeah, it's not in the box, so it's obviously been yeah, come out the factory like that. That's not particularly good. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I can phone up Hornby, I'm sure they'll send me a step to replace it, but yeah, very expensive model, you know, should really be delivered perfect. But yeah, what a shame. Right, let's spoil this review. I'm just going to lift the lid off very gently from the top of this model and put that to one side. Right, let me lift the loco off the plinth. Nope, hang on. I've got a feeling that this is, yeah, there's a screw on the base holding the loco in place. So I think for this part of the review, I'm going to actually leave this on the plastic base for now. And let's lift out the other variant. Again, we've got an accessories pack, and I'm just having a look here. These are painted exactly the same, so there is no difference at all in the accessories pack. And let's lift off the lid on this one. Yeah, so you can see, let me just point out the step. You can see on the lower model, the step is missing on the front of the tender, and yet it's in place on that one. Yeah, a little bit disappointing. If indeed that is missing, it does look like it's missing. All right, what are the differences? So we have a difference in colour. So the Era 1 loco is a little bit darker in colour. We have Locomotion nameplates on the Era 2 loco, whereas number 1 just printed on the side of the boiler on the Era 1 version. The Era 2 version has a bell at the front there, you can see it just behind the chimney, whereas the Era 1 is not fitted with a bell. Now, apart from that, I can't see any other tangible difference between the two models. I'm just going to pop this one down for a moment. So I had expected sort of these joints to be painted differently. I think from some of the renderings, these were picked out in silver on one of the locos and gold on the other. Maybe a difference in the colours on the mechanism, but both locos absolutely identical, apart from as I say, the colour, the name and the bell, as far as I can tell. So let's just have a look what else is in the packaging to make sure I'm making a full comparison here. So I'm just going to lift out the packaging on these two. So we have the instructions, and let's just lift these both out at the same time. So apart from the little sticker at the top here which says 346 and 345, these look to be exactly the same. So there's no printing between the two, it's just exactly the same model. Gives information, let's just focus on one of them. Gives you oiling points, tells you how to fit the figures. On the back here we've got some information on basically the magnetic chain coupling that comes with the loco, also your NEM adapter coupling there. Protective casing, a little bit of information and making sure that yeah, it's round the right way, and your screw fixing is holding the loco onto the base. And then in here we've got information on fitting DCC and your sound decoder, should you wish to put that in the loco. And as I say, this is exactly the same apart from the sticker on the top corner. So first reflection and reaction to the models. So let's talk about the models themselves. Absolutely amazing, absolutely stunning. The detail on it is brilliant. I think Hornby have done an amazing job with the mechanism on here. Obviously I haven't even seen it moving yet, but really pleased with them. As they came out the box, looked absolutely amazing. Fantastic models. Well, let's talk about the limited edition. Right, so the good points. I think it looks stunning. I like the fact that it's an Era 1 loco. I like the fact that it's got number 1 printed on the side of the boiler, which you know, is appropriate for the loco. Not so sure that the tender should be there, but understand why it's there, because obviously this is how you're going to get your DCC coupling, and if they didn't supply it with a tender, then obviously the loco wouldn't have as much function. And on to, I guess, the negative points. These are going to sound quite cynical. So to release the limited edition loco on the same day as the catalogue loco, it's kind of taken away the sort of specialty of this particular model. If they'd released it a week or two earlier, would have been great for collectors. I mean, you know, as a collector, it's one of those things that doesn't mean much to anybody, but as a collector, just to get the model a little bit earlier than the general release just makes it worthwhile to be part of the club. Not the end of the world, but I mean, apart from the fact, as I say, it's caused me a little bit of financial headache this month with both arriving at the same time. In terms of the actual model, we've got features taken away, or features that are not there, such as the bell. You know, we've obviously got the nameplate is not on here. We do have some additional printing. We do have it printed in another colour, but this model remains the same price as the catalogue version. So both models are priced exactly the same. Now, it's great to see that the information cards are different in each pack. That's really good to see. Not expecting different instructions, that's you know, that's perfectly understood. And the boxes, I'm loving the blue livery box over the green one. Really nice touch. But the bit that's missing on this Collectors Club loco is the kind of difference that makes it a collector's model. So maybe a little certificate in there, maybe something printed on the box that says limited edition, maybe something in there that says Collectors Club Special. All those little things, they do make a difference, and none of that is on here. So am I disappointed to buy both models? I was hoping for a little bit more difference in them, to be honest. I'm not sure what that difference would have been. Maybe a little bit of different painting. They are a little bit too similar for me personally to have both in the collection. I had planned to get both of them. I do plan on keeping both of them. I think they are probably one of the most exquisite models Hornby's done. I think they're absolutely brilliant. I would have liked to have just seen a little bit more difference between the two. As I say, I'm not sure what difference you would have done, but yeah, that's just my own thoughts and comments. Right, I'm going to take both of these over to the track, and let's have a detailed look at these and talk through some of the detailing on the models. Well, let's have a look around the models. I mean, the wheels look fantastic. Loving the little round holes around the periphery, very reminiscent of what's on the actual loco. Then we've got the mechanism and the linkage onto the wheels. Looks absolutely fantastic. And the way that the con rods come up through the running boards either side of the loco. On one side we've got a depiction of a chain connecting some of the mechanism back to what appears to be a piston underneath the running board. Around the front of the loco, we've got the chimney and all the rivets running up the chimney. And on the Era 2 model, the bell in its depiction. But the bit that really stands out as absolutely extraordinary is the mechanism itself above the boiler. How Hornby have achieved this finish, I have no idea. Absolutely exquisite, and as I say, probably one of the most complex mass-produced models I've ever seen. On the rear of the boiler, we've got a couple of taps on there and a firebox door that's moulded in. We've got the piston also mounted on top of the boiler. Absolutely exquisite detail. And then moving through to the tender, we've got the wood panelling, really well moulded in there. And again, on the boiler, the wood panelling on the boiler looks superb. Now, I think I prefer the Era 1 colouring. That looks more like wood panelling. than the Era 2. The Era 2 is a little bit too light, I think. So the Era 1 does look better. But the wheels and tender also look really well done. And yeah, indeed, and everywhere you look on the model, amazing detail. And even to attempt something like this on a mass-produced model, really hats off to Hornby. I'm fearful that my review is going to take a negative turn. So I have put both the locos on the track and I have given them a little bit of a run just to sort of work out what I was going to say on camera. So this is the earlier Era 1 version, so you can see the number 1 on the side of the boiler, and I'm just applying the power now and you can see the problem. It's jerky, it's stopping, and you can hear the awful squeak from the mechanism. There you go, it's stopped again. And obviously with this type of loco you don't want it tearing around the layout, you do want to be running it at slower speeds, but it is not very good, I'm afraid. The mechanism looks wonderful on it. I mean, it does when it's moving. When it's actually in motion, it looks fantastic. But yeah, let's turn it the other way and bring it back into shot. Stuck over there. Now, before you ask, I did clean the track. I have done that. I've cleaned the track, and you can see it's just jolty. I stopped again. That's not through the controller. And come back the other way. I don't want to disappear into any of the tunnels because it keeps stopping. Right, so that's the Era 1 loco. I'm just going to lift that off the track because that's not very successful at all. And I'll bring on the Era 2 loco, and this one does run better. I'll just put the bucket on the back there. You see, much better, much smoother, but still squeaking as it runs along the track. So I have a problem with the Era 1 loco, which I'm afraid I am going to need to contact Hornby about, because I don't know what to do about it. And maybe I'll try some. Mind you, that one's stopped as well now. you know, given that you do want to be moving these quite slowly, these are not very robust in how they run. Tell you what I'm going to do, put them both on the track together, just so you can see that I'm not sort of fiddling the result, shall we say. So that's both of them on the track. You can see the era 1 is just stopping, even though the era 2 is still moving. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for a new loco, especially considering the price of these. These are extremely expensive for what they are. I mean, I say for what they are, they're beautiful detail. They are exquisite models, but they are supposed to be working models. So yeah, I'd love to do a really positive, glowing review, and I'm struggling with the words. I'm struggling to sort of sitting here thinking about what I want to do, because, you know, I don't like sending models back. I've only ever done it once, but if the model doesn't work, that is a problem. And yeah, so I'm sitting here thinking about what to do. Obviously I want to do a positive review. You know, Hornby has been my life. I want to support Hornby. I want to be, you know, I like buying their models, and I try to be as positive as I can about everything that they do. But this era 1 loco, that's just not working. And as I say, I am going to have to contact them, find out what they're doing. But also on the era 2, just going back to the fact that there's a step missing. You know, that's also a little bit disappointing. Straight out of the box, you know, it's missing one of the detailing parts, which isn't good. That's not good for Hornby quality control. Well, I need to close the video out, and I'm kind of struggling to think how to do this with a positive slant. So, first thing I'll say, these are exquisite models, and hats off to Hornby for the attempt in trying to capture this kind of detail in a mass production model. They are exquisite. They are expensive, but, you know, given the detailing on here and the development that must have gone into these models, they are absolutely wonderful. Now, on to the bits that have troubled me. So, my Era 2 model has been delivered without a step. My Era 1 model doesn't run very well. When I compare the Era 1 to Era 2, there's not a lot of difference between those. On top of that, the models were released on the same day. The Era 1 model, which is supposed to be a club special and a limited edition, didn't come out before the first model, so it's kind of lost a little bit of its attractiveness, if you like. Will I keep both the models? Well, it depends on whether Hornby come back with a resolution to how they run. Now, I'm fortunate here that I've got two locos that I can compare. Both of them are squeaking. One of them is a really poor runner, really poor runner. I can't get any shots of it actually in motion. It's that bad. It runs for a little bit and then stops, and it's also jolting as it moves, so it's not a particularly smooth runner. The other one's running a lot better, but still squeaks up and down the track. When they are in motion, they do look fantastic. They do look absolutely amazing going round on the layout. But yeah, just a disappointment in the way they actually run. So there you go, not the most positive review I can give on these. I think, you know, at the very least, these models should run, and either I've got a Friday afternoon model, shall we call it, or yeah, this is a common problem across them. So as I say, I'm interested to hear if anybody else is having problems with these, whilst I decide whether to go back to Hornby and you know, see if they can suggest a resolution. At the moment, I don't want to put oil, you know, people will suggest that I oil these. I don't want to do anything to these until I've decided that I'm absolutely keeping them and I can get them both running. I don't want anything that would invalidate any warranties on there. So at the moment, I'm just putting the feelers out to see if anybody else is having problems, and I shall persist in looking at these and seeing if I can see where the problem is. Well, there you go. Unfortunately, not the most positive review I hope to give of these. Anyway, if the video's been of use or of interest, then please do give it a like, and why not check out the channel? There's lots on there, and if you can find something that interests you and you can subscribe, I'd be really grateful. And with that, I'm going to leave this one there. Say thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.